Alright, so the motor's apart. Pretty dusty, right? I'm going to do my best. There's no oil cavity. Well, there's sort of a wick. It looks like there might be kind of a wick in there. I'm going to try to put some oil down in. But I don't know what that would do because the bearing seems to go all the way down. So I don't know if there's much you can do other than oil it, clean it and oil it. Cleaned up pretty nice. I did not have to take the magnet housing thing out of this other sheet metal. I was able to get the brush in. I'm using a pretty big paintbrush. This worked out great. This side's pretty clean. Now I'm going to clean the bearings in the shaft with the alcohol and oil her up and try and get her back together. See how it goes. So yeah, I've decided that these are in fact wicks. This material here, it's clearly proud to the other side. Clearly it does oil from the outside of the bearing. So I'm going to attempt to get some oil onto the wick itself. We'll see if it soaks any up. I'm not really sure it's going to. And then I'm definitely going to oil the bearing and shaft before I attempt to reassemble this thing. This has been a learning experience, this motor right here. There you go. So hopefully it goes back together and runs good. Oiling update. Okay, so those are definitely wicks, and I started by putting oil on these slots, and it did soak in. Went another round. I noticed that there's these little clips. I'll bet this whole thing comes apart, and you could do it internally. Instead what I did was I put my finger on the other side of the bearing and filled up this bearing, and I allowed it to come up proud of here, and I could actually see it soaking in. The wick must go here, and the oil kind of flows around the front of the bearing on the outside. Very interesting. Quite a surprise. I'm not taking that whole thing apart, but it does seem to have soaked up some oil inside. So that's good. Now I'm going to do the other side from the other side, where, as you can see, that outside lip, that must be how it soaks up the oil. I'm going to try it again on here. So this is what I'm doing. I've got my finger on the other side of the bearing, and it's oil all the way up to there, and I'm waiting for it to soak in a little bit to that wick. If it does, it seems to not soak up a whole lot, but I just noticed this is pretty interesting. Milford, Massachusetts. Okay, Medford would have been more interesting because that's really close to where I live. But Milford, Mass. So this appears to have an American-made motor. Made in the USA, apparently. There you go. Well, this is really something. I'll tell you, when you're disassembling these things and cleaning them, you're also assessing. I'm not going to clean that sticky stuff off of the end there. The bearing end is here, and it's pretty clean and pretty smooth. I like the way it looks. This side also cleaned up pretty good until I noticed. Let's see if we can find it. This is hard to see. Sorry, guys. There is a crack right there. See it? It seems to run from the end down into the center. It's really wild. Never expected that. Can't believe it's running like that. There it is. See it? Very interesting. So I don't know if, as much as I love this fan, looks like she's done. And that definitely could be from overheating, from me not knowing to oil it properly. Again, I had oiled it, but obviously not enough. And could also just be a manufacturing flaw. I'm not going to take 100% responsibility on that. But yeah, that's a drag. Now, not for nothing, but this is fan blades. That fan, I don't know what you call those things. They're floppy. It's unbelievable. No wonder it doesn't push any air. Now this, that's a quality blade. It's got a good pitch to it, and it's strong. I mean, that's some pretty thick plastic. Anybody that's putting that kind of work into a fan gets my $20. Alright, I'm going to be sad to see this fan go, especially considering the motor cleaned up really nice and ended up with a pretty good amount of spin down. But there were the two issues. There's a crack on the other side of the drive shaft, fairly flush and probably would still run, but that's a problem. But then I found something else that's really more troubling. If you look carefully, this is discolored here. I noticed at first because it had discolored the back side of the plastic grate that encapsulates this. So that clearly has been heating up. I'm trying to get out of the light and show you what I'm talking about. So that's yeah, it's scary. I don't like that. Maybe it's fine. It doesn't seem to have discolored the side of the, well, you can see that. Yeah, you can see it. Whatever this particle board stuff is, I don't know. But yeah, I don't like that. This has been heating up. Maybe that's normal. Maybe it's not really a problem. But I'm no expert. And as someone who's not an expert, I'm going to say that this has got too many problems, this fan, and it is now being retired. This is sad because I like this one. What a drag. So anyway, that's the deal. I'm going to get it out of service because your life is more important than an old fan that you just spend 2 hours cleaning up. It's not even a vintage fan, so it's interesting the things you can find. I expected this to clean up and go back together, but those are some worrisome issues. So I'm going to take it out of service. Play taps on the computer and listen to it as I chuck this guy out. It's too bad. Too bad. You know, that's an example of why all that, if this didn't have that unnecessary stuff, you'd have a pretty good fan. And if I'd taken care of it and not cracked the drive shaft. But I don't know if I can take full responsibility for that. Made in America, so probably it's my fault more than the manufacturing's fault, but you never know. So that's the deal. I don't know how many years I got out of this fan. 10 maybe? More than that, 12. But it should have lasted forever. And part of it's on me, part of it's on the unnecessary electronics. So I guess that's the way it is. Next year we'll be in the market for another fan. Have a good day. Thanks for watching. Be safe out there, and peace.